We have the baseball team getting ready to go to the Super Regionals for the second consecutive year with a chance to make history. We have a former football player, West Virginia football player, pissing off Pitt fans across Pittsburgh and nationally. And we have your questions that we're going to answer in this episode of the Gold and Blue Breakdown Show. My partner Jonathan and I are here to chat it up with you guys tonight. Jonathan, what's up, man?
Couz, what's going on? So yeah, off season technically, right, but not so much off season when the baseball team is making waves. We have discussed them, I guess, on this show before, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth tonight. And yeah, who would have thunk it? A Pittsburgh player ticking off Pittsburgh fans, but
Yeah.
little bit of a twist to that story, I guess.
Yep.
So
Yeah, which we will get to in a few minutes.
yeah, but it's always good to be back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we took last week off. It is nice this time of the season to rest and rejuvenate and spend some family time. But man, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Excited
Me
to get
too.
talking.
Me too. All right, let's go ahead and kick it off with let's go ahead and talk about the baseball team. I know that's what most fans are excited about this week. They obviously beat Clemson and they beat Kentucky twice to win the regional and move on to the Super Regional for the second time in program history and the second consecutive year. An absolute exciting weekend of baseball. I mean, 4.5 hour game to finish it up against Kentucky, down 5 runs in the 8th inning. They come back and they win the game.
Yeah.
You've got 2 guys who had not even been starting who become 2 of your better players, especially Armani Guzman, who ended up being the most outstanding player of the entire regional. Just an absolutely gutty performance by the team and pitching staff and coaching staff. Now they got to play one of the top teams in the country in LSU. What are your thoughts about that team and where they are and what they've accomplished so far, plus what's ahead?
Yeah, Couz, I got to tell you, one of my thoughts the other day was I was watching the game and I was the Kentucky game, I guess Sunday night, and I was scrolling through X, and I was amazed, but not amazed, if that makes sense, at how many people were just on fire for this baseball game, right? And I was thinking to myself, if nothing else, it's pretty cool that this team and this program and this passionate fan base has just kind of come together, right? It was wild. I mean, if college baseball, Couz, in of itself is wild in general. I mean, you find yourself pitchers throwing 120 plus pitches. Heck, Kentucky brought in a guy that was playing first base the other night to pitch. So it's wild, man. But it was good to see. It was a lot of fun. We actually, myself and my family, kind of found ourselves coordinating our weekend and our Sunday to watch the game. So a lot of fun. One of our questions that we'll get to maybe later was how fun and how big was the win, the regional in Clemson. But don't sleep, don't rest. LSU's really good.
Oh yeah.
How awesome would it have been, Couz, if West Virginia would have hosted this Super Regional, which in more ways than one, because I think you'd probably rather play Little Rock, but
yeah.
You know what? You're going to have to go out and earn it. And what better way than to go to Baton Rouge and beat the Tigers? So
in that swampy, humidity, heat, whatever it's going to be down there, man.
Yeah, I'm just really excited. It's great to see how, and because we've talked about this before on this show, the excitement level in football with Rich Rodriguez back, the excitement after even it ended kind of in a way that we didn't love. Basketball has transitioned now, and the excitement with Ross Hodge. And I'd say the same thing about the baseball team, because they are climbing. They've got folks excited, and it was just really good to see. It was really good to see, and I know you and I were texting back and forth during some of the games, and just like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah.
It was madness, but a lot of fun. And this weekend, will likely be some more craziness.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I didn't get to watch a ton of the LSU game, but I watched a little bit of it, and they had a pitcher, and his last name has escaped me, but he came in relief in that last game against Little
Yeah,
Rock. Had 9 strikeouts in a row, man, and
yeah,
he has got he's a freshman, nasty stuff, man. Like his breaking ball drops off the table on you, man. You just can't. It's almost unhittable when he's on. So, and the thing is, he's not. I mean, he may not even be their best pitcher. So they've got some really, really good pitchers on that staff. They were number one in the country for a while
yeah,
this year. So it's not going to be easy. West Virginia has the second longest
yep,
odds to win the College World Series behind Murray State, who pulled off a huge upset to even get there.
yeah,
So nobody's expecting them to win. Once again, they got to punch above their weight class. They got to go into an environment where nobody expects them to win, just like they did this past week at Clemson
yep,
when they had the fans surrounding the bullpen talking trash to them as the pitchers warmed up. Clemson fans are passionate about baseball down there in South Carolina. So, and what's cool about this team, Jonathan, is this team and this coaching staff, they eat that stuff up, man. They love
yeah,
that. They love that atmosphere. Even the freshman was coming out and talking to Gavin Kelly, talking about how he loves playing and enjoyed playing in front of that Clemson crowd.
yeah,
So I just love the mindset, the hard edge mindset
yeah.
of Steve Saban's and what he's instilled into this team.
Yeah, I love the comment I think Saban's made in his press conference talking about LSU, and he said they picked their players for LSU. We got our guys for West Virginia, and you can tell this team believes.
Mm-hmm.
Again, would have loved to have it at home. Who wouldn't? If we've seen anything the last couple years, is that West Virginia fans have become passionate about the program. They packed the stadium out. I mean, how many sellouts we've just seen over the 2 years? Just really a monumental shift, I guess, towards baseball, and to see what the fans are buying in, and man, it's a lot of fun. You're starting to get to the point now where you know the guys, you know the players, their tendencies. And it's a wild ride, and I can't wait to watch them. And again, you're going to have to earn them, but you had to go to Clemson and earn it too, right? And anything can happen in baseball. It's a funny sport, especially college baseball. And so I guess, is it Friday yet? I'm ready to,
Yeah.
or Saturday,
Yeah.
technically.
That's,
I'm
yeah.
used to most series going
Friday, Saturday,
Friday,
Sunday.
Saturday, and Sunday because, of course, Reds
Mm-hmm.
fans and baseball and whatnot. But yeah, so let's get it going Saturday.
Yep. It's a Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's a 3-game set, best of 3. Hopefully they can win it in 2. I got a feeling for West Virginia to win this thing, they're going to have to drag it out and make it a 3-game series.
Yeah.
If it goes 3 games, I think West Virginia has a shot. But so let's hope. Obviously you'd like them to win it in 2, but I'm not going to count those chickens before they hatch for sure.
Yeah, but I think a couple things can be true at once, Couz. One, I think you can recognize that LSU is really good. They're the number 6 overall seed, as you noted earlier. They were number 1 for a large portion, I think, of the year, and so we don't want to discredit LSU. They're a good baseball team, but I think it's also true that they can be beat. You take a look at Little Rock, who I think almost finished middle of the pack regular season in their conference, not well known for being a stout baseball program. Not only did they win one, they gave West Virginia LSU all they could handle
Absolutely.
in that final game. And for a while, it actually looked like they would be making the trip
Yep.
to Morgantown. So I think you can say that LSU is very good. I think you can also say that they're beatable.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think you're going to see West Virginia do what West Virginia teams do. They're going to show up back against the wall. They're going to fight and give it all they have. And at the end, we'll see how it shakes out. But it won't be for lack of effort. I can promise you that.
Yep. Absolutely. Guarantee it. Let's go ahead and before we jump into the question and answer session, let's go ahead and talk about the news of today. We're recording this on Wednesday, June 4th. And that's the Beanie Bishop stuff. Boy, Beanie Bishop has Pitt fans in a tizzy, and has caused another, West Virginia's fans versus Pitt fans spat back and forth, whatever you want to call it, on Twitter/X. It's been I've been traveling a lot, so I haven't had a chance to read all the comments, but before I left today, I was able to actually participate in a little bit myself with my respected friend JJ Kitchen, who's a Pitt fan. He and we respect each other and like each other, but we're also fans of rival teams, so we do poke each other once in a while. But it's all in fun. But yeah, it's been definitely a back and forth. But let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and do a screen share. It's easier for us to talk about this if we can show everybody what we're talking about. People who may not have Instagram or X and social media may not know what the heck we're talking about. So let's go ahead and see if we can enlarge this here, and then we'll play it and talk about it. Here's Beanie Bishop walking in. Keep in mind, he plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who shares a locker room with Pitt. Yeah. He wipes his feet on the logo and has the poop emoji over the name Pittsburgh on University of Pittsburgh.
Was it the emoji that pushed him over the top, Couz?
Nah, I don't believe it was the emoji. I don't know. They don't like that either. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the whole wiping the feet thing. It's
yeah, and as you mentioned, for context here, Couz, the Steelers and Pitt share the same practice facility,
yes.
and this was in the practice facility, and so obviously some part of that, not just Steelers, but obviously Pitt, and even though he was in Morgantown for just 1 year, Beanie definitely showed which side of the aisle he was on with that video.
For sure. They also interviewed Beanie today after practice.
Love this. Oh, I love this.
And I'm going to go ahead and play the interview. Let me go ahead and get it teed up.
Obviously, people's not going to like me based off what school I went to, and that's fine. You know what I mean? It's part of the rivalry. We don't like them guys; they don't like us. It was fun. You know what I mean? Obviously, we like I told y'all yesterday. Like I don't really have no liking for those guys over there. So that's just part of it. They always talk, especially like after they beat us last year. They had a lot to say, and things got quiet as the season went on. But that was pretty much it. I kind of looked at it as Beanie Bishop fan club. You don't like those guys. I mean, it's pretty that's self-explanatory. Obviously, if you go and ask them, they probably hate me. And do I care? No, not really. That's just part of it. Like if you go ask any fan in Baltimore, what do they think about the Steelers? They hate us. So it is what it is. It's just part of the rivalry. Obviously.
That is in response to, I guess Beanie Bishop didn't apologize for stoking some bad feelings from his backyard brawl rivals. There are Pitt players, former players around the facilities, obviously. He doesn't care. I mean, Jonathan, Pitt fans think that he went too far and was disrespectful. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Couz, if you can't, he was a Mountaineer first, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think it should be a surprise that his allegiance is there. Too far, I guess I don't understand that argument. I'd kind of mentioned today on social media on X that if the roles were reversed, not only would I be okay with it, I'd expect it. I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal for me. Maybe obviously that Pitt fans feel the opposite. But I like what Beanie did right there in that interview, though. One, he didn't apologize for what he did. But number two, he even took it a step further and talked about rivalries in general, mm-hmm. right? Baltimore fans don't like us. And so he tied it into the totality of us versus them, not just Pitt, West Virginia, right? Of course, the backyard brawl means a little bit more. To me, I think it was Personally, I think it was Pitt fans really just soared, looking for a reason to be upset at West Virginia. And I think if we're being honest, I think while I would be okay with it, I don't actually know how you feel. We haven't even discussed this off air, but I would say if roles were reversed, maybe some West Virginia fans would be upset about it. I got to tell you though, my overwhelming thought here is, man, this is good for football. It's good
Yeah.
for college. It's good for rivalries. You look at the Ohio State Michigan rivalry and kind of getting on the field. And I know there's some different things there, but some similarities between the two. But if for no other reason, man, it says to me, if you don't understand how serious the backyard brawl is, just take a look at this.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do know, but some people out of our region, out of the states don't realize how serious it is. Now you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it became topic of conversation on a radio show up there today, one of the popular radio shows in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I mean, obviously the Pittsburgh fan I think he's a former player that's co-host of that show was not happy about it. The other co-host is a West Virginia fan. So he was like, it ain't a big deal. It's a rivalry. And I mean, it got pretty heated. Actually, the guy behind the camera was getting mad and it was crazy. I saw JJ Kitchen. He did a live stream about it, talking about how disrespectful it was and all this. Then, I mean, that led into a whole conversation about how West Virginia fans are and how they treat Pitt fans at games and all this. But I mean,
and I guess Couz, a genuine question for me is what went too far? What crossed the line?
They think wiping the feet. I think their problem, and I guess it's hard for me to understand his argument because I'm not in their situation, but they feel like because Pitt and Pittsburgh share a facility and a locker room, Pitt and the Steelers, that he should be more respectful of the facility and all that. But like I said in some of the comments, it's not like he vandalized anything. He literally wiped his feet on a rug. I mean, it didn't even get it muddy that I could tell. I mean, it was just, to me, it was innocent.
Well, first off, he's practicing indoors. Let's note this first off. So he's not dirty. He's not doing anything to the end. I'm assuming that's an end zone area right there.
I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't
know. He didn't deface anything. Nothing was spray painted with an emoji or yeah. I mean, I think, if the argument is, you should respect the Pittsburgh practice facility, or is the argument, once you get drafted and you move on, you probably need to just kind of let it go.
And some of them said that he needs to act like a professional, not a college student.
Yeah, I guess, again, maybe because I'm on this side of it, right?
Yeah.
I don't have a big issue with it, and I truly feel deep down, Couz, that if the roles were reversed, not only would I be okay with it, I would expect it.
Yeah, honestly, I probably wouldn't be, but only because it's a rivalry, and I would be passionately defending the WV logo.
Sure,
just like they are. Now, I don't think I would be. Some of them have went way too far, talking about how they showed a picture of Pat White being wheeled out on a stretcher and just stupid stuff like that. And making comments about it, just and they made it. They were like, well, Zach Frazier didn't do it. Well, Zach Frazier's not that person. They're two totally different personalities. Zach Frazier's a mild mannered, quiet, introverted guy, at least in the public eye. He is. He's not out. And Beanie Bishop's defensive backs are different, man. They have a different mentality, a different mindset. And Beanie, he just started a podcast. Now, was there some PR here? Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pretty smart. Some of them have even been attacking him, saying he's probably going to get cut from the team because he's not any good anyway. And maybe that's true. I'm not a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I don't follow that. But at the end of the day, it's a rivalry. And the clip I played, this wasn't included in it, but he even talked about in that interview about how he thinks the game needs to be played on rivalry week and not the third week of the season.
Yeah, good point.
And about how he loves rivalries in general. And I think I think he's just a football fan, right?
Yeah.
And he loves West Virginia. He loved his time at West Virginia, and he hates Pitt because of that time at West Virginia. And combine all of that, I think whether he's at Pittsburgh or California, if he walks across the Pitt logo, he was probably going to do that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. If nothing else, it made for a fun Tuesday morning and or Wednesday morning. It's been a long week. But and also, if we needed any more fuel to the fire for the backyard brawl this season,
he did. That is a downside. He just gave them more bulletin board material
with Rich Rod returning, the game been in Morgantown, and now Beanie Bishop.
Yeah,
get your tickets.
If he's going to be at the game, he better be on the sideline with the team, and he better have a helmet on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's in Morgantown this year, so he'll be okay. Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, but I just think it was all in good fun, and I think it just speaks to college football in general and just how cool it is. And I think it speaks to the level of seriousness that the backyard brawl is.
Yeah, I love it. The fact it's bringing attention to that game on a national level.
Yep.
I mean, these are national. This is getting a lot of attention on social media.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, let's go ahead and dive in to some of these questions that we've gotten. Jonathan put on X an opportunity for people to ask us questions, and we got a lot of good ones.
Yes, we did.
So let's go ahead and get started here. The first one, let's go ahead and we started the show off talking about baseball. So let's go ahead and we had about 3 questions regarding baseball. So let's go ahead and start there. Do you believe WVU baseball can beat LSU with the series being in Baton Rouge? Jonathan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so we kind of touched on this. The answer is yes. I do believe they can. It's not going to be easy. Of course, we mentioned that LSU, number 6 overall team, number 1 several times for a portion of the season this year. They're a good baseball team, very good. SEC is extremely, extremely talented league, so they're doing that week in, week out. Having said that, I just believe that West Virginia, some teams just kind of have that chemistry, right? They have that fight in them. They have that will to just keep on keeping on. And I'll tell you something else. Some pieces have changed, but I think West Virginia has one season under their belt where they've kind of been there, done that, right? They've been on that stage. And so I think they got a lot of confidence from last weekend in the Clemson Regional to be able to go beat Kentucky, play Clemson, come back, win the game, come back against Kentucky and win again. I think that did a lot. And, confidence is a pretty cool thing, Couz. And once you get it, seems like things just fall in your favor. So definitely not going to be easy, but sure, most certainly. I think this team is confident. And they're not going to be scared of going down there. I can promise you that. And they're going to play hard. So absolutely, they can beat them.
Now they feel like they can play with anybody. And
sure.
I do want to take this opportunity though to give a shout out. We were talking about Pitt fans, West Virginia fans. LSU fans are some of the nice. I've had a chance to interact with LSU fans. I was blessed several years ago to go to Baton Rouge to see the West Virginia LSU game. Some of the nicest individuals on the face of the planet, man.
Yep.
Never had one negative thing said to me, never had anything thrown at me, never got cussed at. All I did was get offered food and beer and anything else you could think of. I mean, it was people thanked me for coming. They would say, we're going to whip your butt, but we appreciate you being here, and they would just laugh. It was that type of situation.
Yep.
It was really, really, I couldn't believe. Now, there was 100,000 people tailgating, so it was massive. And 90,000 of those were, go into the stadium. But, and the loudest stadium I've ever been in, but that's a whole nother conversation. But I want to say that first. But they love their baseball down there. They take it seriously. It's going to be sold out. I think I heard 10,000 people. Is that right?
Something
probably
like that, yeah.
So it's going to be one of the biggest crowds they've probably ever played in front of, at least on the road. So, but they can win. I think it'll take 3 games to do it probably. but I think it can be done, and I'm looking forward to watching him.
Yeah, and it's obviously the series isn't over after Saturday, but boy, how huge it would be to get the first game.
Yep, it would
If you
be.
can, if you can play with house money Sunday and even potentially into Monday, um, and I'm stating the complete obvious here, Couz. But if your back's against the wall come Sunday, it's going to be difficult. So if you could somehow get it at 2 p.m., I believe. First pitch on Saturday. If you could somehow get that, you're going to feel really good about yourself. LSU's beatable, really good, but beatable.
Keep in mind, Little Rock took them took them the distance.
Yeah.
Took them. They beat them one. They beat them once.
Yep.
LSU had to go down, and they were up 5-1 in the third game.
Yep. Great point. Great point.
So again, no, they're not. It's not like they're playing God here. It's a beatable baseball team.
Yeah.
They're really good, but if West Virginia's bats can hit the way they've been hitting, and if the bullpen can kind of sure things up a little bit, I really like their chances.
Yeah, I do too. And I will say real quick too. You've noticed that with this team, especially after that Clemson regional, they're never out of a game.
No,
just when you're ready to walk off, turn the TV off, go to bed, whatever the case may be. 4 runs, no problem. 5 runs, no problem. 2 runs, no problem. They just keep coming back, And I'll tell you something else. As a baseball guy, I noticed this. A lot of their damage with 2 outs.
yes.
And I'll tell you what that is I tell you where it comes from. It comes from Coach Saban's. That's a fighter's mentality, Couz. That's a never give up mentality. You're just always looking for one more guy on base to start a rally. A lot of times I think what happens is you get 2 outs, you get down, you get frustrated, you just want to kind of pout, give up. This team doesn't do it. So looking forward to a fun weekend in Baton Rouge.
Yep, agreed. All right, next question. Sticking with baseball. Why was Grant Hussey benched? This has been a question I've seen a lot on social media, and I'll go ahead and I guess I'll go first.
Sure.
I saw, first off, I recommend everybody go watch whatever West Virginia media outlet you like to follow that post the press conferences and stuff. Go check out the interview they did with Steve Saban's yesterday on Tuesday. Well, yeah, I say it'd be on this. This is going to be air on Thursday. It was on Tuesday. The guy gets it, man, and he fits the West Virginia mentality perfectly. But he talks about this in that too. But what he talked about was, look, this is not just an individual thing. Now, look, I will say that I think there was a little bit of coach speak intertwined here, but he basically, in a nutshell, said we felt like Lumsden gave us the better opportunity when we looked at the pitchers we were going to have to face in that regional.
Yeah.
Lumsden gave us the better chance, and then and he said also not only do we have to look at 1-for-1 replacement, he said we looked at the entire lineup. It's not about just taking one guy out of the lineup. So you got to sometimes you got to move pieces around when you make a change like that. And they felt like Armani Guzman was one of those pieces. Ben Lumsden also coming in to play first base was one of those pieces. So that and it worked. I mean, Lumsden ended up with 4 hits during that regional.
Yep, had a huge hit at the end of the Kentucky game.
And we all saw what Armani Guzman did, winning most outstanding player. So the moves he made, a lot of fans were complaining about it because Hussey's the power hitter right on the team. But he also strikes out more than some of the other guys do. So, and I'm assuming, I'm not trying to read. Don't want to put words in Coach Saban's mouth, but he probably wanted somebody he felt like would put the bat on the ball better against, the left-handed pitching they were going to have to face.
Yeah.
Against Kentucky and Clemson. So.
Yeah, this was this is one of those where if you just kind of scrolled your timeline last weekend, you saw a lot of where is Grant Hussey, right?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of that. I will say this. Baseball is it's different, man. Sometimes it's just a gut feel, I mean, it's just a gut feel. I will say though, this one was a little puzzling. Hussey's a guy, 54 starts, Couz, in 55 games. Because he'd started 49 in a row at one time. You realize that? 49
I did not know that.
I've got an even crazier one for you. 221 games in his career. Started all but I think 7 of those.
Yeah.
And the opposite to that, who Ben Lumsden, who was your starting right fielder for portions of the season, had 1 start in 35 games. So I think that kind of went into why this was so puzzling.
Yeah.
But if you dig a little bit deeper to it, though, Couz, Hussey's had a weird season, man. And this, when you start playing 50, 60 plus games, this happens.
Mm-hmm.
But he started really slow on the season, but he really performed as the season went on. He actually got his average up to over 300. But then back towards the end of the season, I think he finished the year in like a 7 for 38 slump, a 7 for 40 slump. Man, he was struggling. And baseball's it's a funny game, man. I mean, a lot of times it's between the years, and maybe Sabins was just looking for a change of pace, not just for him, but for Hussey. Maybe he was looking to give this team sometimes it just does something for you to look across the diamond and see somebody else standing there, right? And, we see this sometimes in basketball where, somebody's just kind of struggling in a starting lineup and they take them out of the starting lineup and just let them sit for 3 or 4 minutes. Let the game start. Let them watch it. Let them catch their breath. Watch the ball go through the hoop a couple times. See some fouls been given, right? And then get that play. Insert them in the game. And so I think maybe also it was just a change of pace. Just switch it up. And it worked. And I'll tell you something else too. Yeah, it definitely worked. And it also gave you a good presence in Hussey late in the game. And that played out well. And so I think as it was happening, myself included, everybody was like, what is going on here? But looking back on it now, it's hard to question it. And definitely. So I think it's a finicky bunch, man, baseball. And you take somebody who'd started so many games, so many consecutive games, and insert somebody who is the complete opposite. It didn't make a lot of sense, but boy, it does now.
Yeah. By the way, quick trivia note, Jonathan. When I was researching for this video, and I just happened to glance at Armani Guzman's stats. Do you know where he played his summer ball last year?
I don't.
Bluefield.
I had a feeling it might be pretty local.
So if he does that again, we're gonna have to get over and see some games this summer.
Yeah, that's one shift, I guess in the Appalachian League you're starting to see some of the college players coming in.
Yep.
And boy, did he perform well.
I didn't realize they were allowed to do that, to be honest. But yeah, I guess they are. Boy, I just thought I'd throw that out there. I found that to be pretty cool. Right down the road from where you and I live.
Yeah.
Now he's going to be a celebrity around here.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of people at Bluefield games if that happens again. Yeah. But you know what? Could we get a tip of the cap to Sabins for making that decision?
Oh, it had to be tough. Grant Hussey's might be the most popular player on the team.
Yeah. And
among the fan base,
I mean, what's the chances maybe an assistant coach or so too said, Coach, you sure? You sure?
Yeah.
Does that? Do you know what you're saying, Coach? But to stick to his guns and just say, "Hey, I got a gut feeling here," right?
Yeah.
And certainly happy for everybody that it worked out because the truth is, if it would have went the opposite, you had some explaining to do. But when you can take a gut feeling and have a pretty good idea that you need to shake things up, and to not only have the feeling but to act on it, you got to respect it.
You do. Before we move on, I've got to take care of some housekeeping that I forgot to do earlier in the show. I have got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor here. We'll be right back. Since 1931, the attorneys at Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians because we are your lawyer. your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. All right. Thank you for being patient. And also, a quick reminder for those of you who may have noticed the logo, I've changed logos in my background here. I can't, this screen's got me screwed up here. Anyway, you see behind me, that's the new WV Sports Chat logo that Jonathan and I had made for the website. Please come over and check it out. We're making some moves to try to grow that sucker. Jonathan and I have been throwing around some ideas, and we're hoping to get that thing, growing quickly, and we need your help. So please go to wvsportschat.com, read the articles, drop us some emails. There's a place there where you can reach out and contact us. We'll reply to you. Let us know. And, we'd love to hear from you over there. And we also would like to get follow us on social media platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram. We have pages set up for West Virginia Sports Chat there. Let's go follow us over there, please. All right. Last baseball question, Jonathan. Do you agree with me, whoever the post question was asked? Next time we probably should, I just thought of this. Next time we probably should get the names.
Yeah, I will say, as I was going in and out of meetings today, when I sent you those questions, I do have plans on tagging those individuals when we post this on social media.
Perfect.
But going forward, you're correct.
Says, do you agree with me? The baseball regional victory was the most satisfying tournament win since men's basketball won the Big East in 2010. That's a tough question, man. I'm having to go all the way back in my memory bank. So you go ahead and answer first, and maybe by the time you answer, I'll have an answer.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I will say that I know Carson Fox actually asked that question,
Okay.
who does some work on YouTube as well. I do know that one.
Fox on West Virginia Mountaineer Sports is the name of this channel.
Because when I saw that, I thought, Carson, that's a great question. Gosh, I can't say maybe. In the moment, I want to say yes, because of what I alluded to earlier. First off, that basketball tournament, that was, I don't want to know that, I don't want to say that was the peak, but that was a pretty darn high mark, right? The excitement around the fan base. But I saw a lot of similarities this past weekend with just the fans that have bought in. I feel like we've spent so much time over the last 2 years buying into this program. Fans have gave to the program, and the program's given back. Randy Mazey was just unbelievable for
shout out to that guy. Shout out to that guy. Yes.
Yeah. And what a transition to Saban's this year. So maybe because it's on my mind and it's fresh, I want to say yes, because it was just so. I think it took a passionate fan base in a sport that has historically not been at the top, for West Virginia fans, and they've bought in, and I think it was such a rewarding moment. And it obviously helped that each game was literally down to the wire and down to the last out. So great question. And I guess because it's fresh, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, but I'd probably say yeah.
Yeah, my answer is not quite as glamorous. There hasn't been a ton of them to choose from. Now Huggins, there was a run there with Huggins with the Press Virginia where they made a couple Sweet 16s.
Yeah.
But I was trying to remember if there were any wins during that stretch that were like close games or huge upsets. I don't remember, to be honest.
There was a couple Big 12 tournament runs in basketball, I think, but they didn't quite finish the job. Now, I realize baseball hasn't quite done that yet either. So, yeah.
And of course, football, there is no tournament. And there really hasn't been any major postseason. Well, he said tournament though, so that takes football out, really.
Well, it does historically, I guess, going forward, with the playoff type setup.
If you want to throw in the Orange Bowl in 2012, I would probably put that ahead of it.
Yeah.
But for specifically tournament games, I guess, yeah. Now, if the women's basketball team been able to pull off the upset of Iowa last
Yeah.
year, I probably would have put that over it.
Yeah.
Just because of who Iowa was and the Caitlin Clark factor.
Yeah.
And since they didn't win that game,
Yeah.
I'm like you. I guess it has to be, yeah. So,
yeah.
hats off to the baseball team for getting it done.
Yep. Yep. That's a good that's a really good question. And I think the answer to that, and we both kind of touched on that. I think the answer to that would be yes, because and I want to preface it by saying the baseball team hasn't quite finished the job. But what I mean by that is, as you alluded to, Bob Huggins made some runs in the Big 12 tournament, but didn't quite get that job done. Women's basketball had made some, even this past season with the UNC, with an opportunity to advance, but didn't quite get it done. Didn't quite get it done against Caitlin Clark. I completely agree. Listen, if that team beats Caitlin Clark in Iowa to advance, well, I mean that's darn near got to be pretty high up there.
Yeah.
So I think so, because it's fresh, and they did they went on the road and got that done, where maybe some other teams they weren't able to do that. So yeah, kudos to them. And now I guess the question would be, what happens if they go to LSU and win this weekend?
It'll top it, I would imagine.
Yeah.
It'll top it. Well, some of it too is the fashion in which they won the games. I mean, comeback wins. They had a walk-off win and a comeback win. Mixed in there, right?
Yeah.
And it was their only walk-off win of the season, which I didn't even realize that until I heard Saban's mention that in his press conference.
Yeah. And I think that alludes to it, is that these weren't just, West Virginia just didn't win these games 8-3, right? They weren't boring. I mean, they were down, I think, against Kentucky on Sunday 6-1. Come back, took the lead, gave up the lead, got down as much as 12-7. 12-8, come fighting all the way back. So I mean, and literally they were all the way down to the last batter. I mean, quite literally. And so, yeah, I mean, just added to the excitement of the weekend. But I think that just goes to where this team is at and what they've done with the fans, and everybody's buying in. And yeah, what a fun time.
I bet LSU doesn't overlook them.
No.
I hope they do, but I don't think they will.
I don't think so.
We only got one basketball question, so let's go ahead and touch on it. It's been very quiet on the basketball front. We will say, though, we did get confirmation today. There was some questions before you answer the question. There were some questions about whether Chance Moore, the 4-star transfer from St. Bonaventure, I believe,
Yep.
whether he was going to be eligible or not, I think was the question, I believe, based on eligibility rules or something. I don't know all the details. But anyway, it was announced today that he was eligible. Go check. Jonathan did an article on it over at the website. Go check it out. Jonathan also did an article about the Beanie Bishop situation today. If you want to hear more about that, he wrote a piece on that. But so there was a little bit of basketball news that broke today, but it wasn't really unexpected news, just something we'd been waiting to hear. But the question about basketball from the fans was true or false. Ross Hodge will have WVU in Sweet 16 this year. You go first.
Well, I appreciate that. So if I have to pick one, you know what? I'm going to say true. And
wow.
I'll tell you why I say that.
I'm writing this down as a hot take, John.
Yeah. Well, I tell you why I say that, Couz. First off, in what little bit we've got to know Ross Hodge, I think he's a winner. He's done a couple things. He's done one particular thing at a couple different stops that gives me hope that I can give you the answer of true. And that is at his stops where he's been, both stops, junior college and then at North Texas, he's immediately turned around and won basketball games quickly, very quickly. So that gives me hope. Number two, even though the roster's not completely filled out, I like what he's done.
Yeah.
I think he's done an excellent job of getting scores of the basketball. I think he's done an excellent job of bringing a couple guys over from North Texas that are familiar with what he's going to implement at West Virginia. And then third, I think he's also going to mix in that defensive mentality that he's talked about since he's been coaching. And so the fact that I think he can do those three things, now I'm not backtracking here, but if I can obviously keep the asterisk of players stay healthy, all these guys, the Chance Moores you talked about, are able to maintain that eligibility. There are some things that kind of have to go right, correct? But if all things do go, yeah, nothing like a early June hot take for the men's basketball team. Couz, I'll say true.
You're braver than me. Sweet 16 in year one with a roster rebuild, that is a lot to expect. Look, if they can just make, I'm going to say the same thing I said last year. If they can just make the NCAA tournament, I think it's a successful season. And that, as we saw last year, easier said than done. In this conference, in the Big 12 with Houston and Kansas and Iowa State and Baylor and that juggernaut that they have, and BYU now, that juggernaut they have to play, man, that's a lot to ask for a first year coaching at the Power 4 level, rebuilding the entire roster. Same thing DeVries had to deal with. Can it be done? Yes. Will he do it? I'm going to say no, just because I just think it's a lot to ask in year one. I'm sure he expects to do that, right? I mean, every coach probably would, but as a fan who typically likes to see the glass half empty, I'm going to say no.
Well, I realize it was year 2 at North Texas, but I think he won 9 more games in his second year at North Texas than he did his first year, with all but one new player, or all new players except for one. So it gives me hope that he can turn this around quickly. Mm-hmm. I really like where he's at with the roster, what he's done with it, the way he's kind of molded it so far and shaped it. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got your floor leader. It's got your scorers. It's got your defenders. It's got your rebounders. It's got your guys who know what he's going to do. Listen, is it going to be difficult? Sure, it is. Heck, we can't agree on everything, so I'll say true.
Yeah.
And if it does happen,
yeah,
I will replay the heck out of this video.
That's why. Actually, that's the only reason you did it, is so you could have something to hold over my head.
I'm just saying this video will get millions of views. I'll play it. I promise.
It might get more than the balloon video that we had happen there.
I will release the balloon video on top of this video show. Let it happen.
Oh man, I wish I remembered what episode number that was so I could tell people to go back and check it out.
Oh, man.
But I don't remember. My memory's not that good. I do want to, before we move on from basketball, real quick, I want to get what does Chance Moore being on this team? How big of, maybe it's a bigger deal than what we made it out to be. Do you think it's how big of a deal is it?
Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, it's a really big deal. Somebody that's a veteran presence, played a lot of basketball games at St. Bonaventure. Somebody that's long, athletic, 6'8", 6'9". He's a defender. He's a rebounder. He can score the basketball, but I don't know that that's going to be his primary role. But yeah, somebody that's just really athletic. Him and Brendan Lorient down low, they just give you that versatility, the athleticism out of these forwards. They're going to be somebody that can play down low, somebody that can stretch. But again, as you noted, in a roster turnover, if they are going to have success next season, somebody like Chance Moore is important.
Yeah.
Because you need that presence, you need his versatility, and as we saw last year, you need some depth and you need it down low, and he's somebody that can give you that. So, he's a very important piece in this rebuild for sure.
Yep, agreed. All right, I kind of glossed over it, and I thought about it, I thought, well, maybe we shouldn't gloss over that. I think he might be a bigger piece of this puzzle than I was giving it credit for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay. All right. Now let's move on to the football questions, which we had a few.
Yep.
Number one, what is a reasonable win-loss record for Rich Rod first year?
So we've kind of semi-touched on this, right? But in a little bit of a different fashion, closer to 5, closer to 10.
I find this to be a hard question.
I tell you what,
because it's not it's kind of subjective.
yeah. Reasonable. Are we talking just regular season here? Maybe you should have clarified.
Uh,
I'm-
yeah,
Probably
I was thinking regular season, but I don't know what the person asking the question had in mind. But I'm thinking regular season to me is the first thing that came to mind.
7. 7. And I've talked about this before on the show, Couz. I think if you look at this schedule, and one thing that I loved about our show last year, and I can't wait till we do it this year, is we did a game by game season breakdown. So obviously, once we kind of get our hands on a little bit more in depth information as we get closer to camp and season, we'll go over it a little bit more. But I think there's a pretty good chance West Virginia starts the season 3-0. Because you're not opening up with that.
Not now that Beanie Bishop's pissed Pitt off.
Yeah. We may want Beanie to come back and play.
I'm kidding.
I like West Virginia at 3 right off the bat, just kind of again off the cuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
So then the question is, can you find 4 more? And so you want to talk about a roster rebuild?
Yeah.
Rich Rod, he's got his work cut out for him. So I'll go 7.
Yeah, for me, I have a hard time understanding what they mean by reasonable. Do they mean reasonable expectation or minimum expectation? I don't really understand the question. I would say the fan base should be happy, in my opinion, with 6 wins in a bowl game.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough sell, Couz.
Because of, like you just said, and I got a video in mind. I'm not going to spill the beans yet, but I got a video idea that came to me today it's related to the roster rebuild that I'm going to work on. Hit the like button on this, by the way. That's the reminder. But I think 6 is reasonable. But it's also reasonable to expect 7 or 8. I don't really. It's so hard to It's so hard to put a number on it when you have all these changes. That's my point.
Yeah, The reality of it is, Couz, you just don't know how this is going to shake out, right? There's a chance this clicks right out the gate, and if we're being honest, there's a chance it doesn't. I think if you can wade through that early part of the season, and thank goodness you're not opening up with an overly rough gauntlet of teams to start the season, this is probably the best year for the schedule setup, because it's pretty schedule friendly, if we're being honest about it. But man, I got to tell you, that's going to be tough to sell 6 wins, this fan base, because of what they've just endured through.
I agree, but again, you got to look at what you got.
I don't disagree.
Right, but we're called fans for a reason, right?
But I think the totality of the situation is going to be. Am I crazy?
It'll feel like more of the same.
Right. The here we go again mentality.
Yeah, I get that.
We brought Rich Rod in. We could, if we were just going to win 6 games, we could have kept. We spent however many millions of dollars to have Neil Brown go away for. I think now. Listen, right. I think a lot of people are going to be understanding of what the totality of this roster switch looks like. But I think that's going to be a tough sell.
Yeah, that's fair.
If that happens, but I got to be honest. As I sit here today, man, in early June, I just don't know that it's going to be 6. Something tells me that it clicks. And again, it's early, but something tells me it's going to click. Now, it's crazy how one more win can make people feel much better about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I think 7 wins with the possibility of 8 passes the
You feel good about it. I
smell
mean,
test.
think about the year before. Well, that was an 8-win year with the possibility 9, but still,
Yeah,
think about how excited the fan base was to win a Duke's Mayo Bowl. You know what I mean?
sure. Oh,
We
yeah.
are so hungry for success here, man, because we haven't seen it consistently for the last 6 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, you might could even, we had some success under Dana, but anyway, you're probably right. But I think to me, 6 is reasonable. But I also can see the other side where, it's not unreasonable to expect
Yeah.
more.
That's kind of splitting hairs, 6 and 7, really.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Which football player will come out of nowhere and be a diamond in the rough? I'm going to go first on this one, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I'm going to go with a guy who was on the roster last year,
No.
Zay Jennings.
Oh, okay.
I thought I was going to take your guy.
Yeah,
We heard Neil Brown talk glowingly about Zay Jennings. He thought and he actually got some snaps last year, and how he thought he was going to be a phenomenal player. Rich Rod has not, he hasn't said as much, but he has mentioned Zay Jennings a couple of times, if I recall, in his pressers as well. And I just think Zay Jennings has the ability and what it takes to play in the Rich Rod, in a Rich Rod, on a Rich Rod team, Rich Rod culture, in a Zach Alley defense. I'm going to say Zay Jennings.
All right. You scared me. Because I probably could have taken a minute to come up with a backup plan, but it might have taken a minute. I'm going to go offense.
Okay.
Jaden Bray.
Okay. I actually almost went there, but in my mind, I didn't know if that would be a huge surprise because we kind of expected him to do it last year, but injury set him back. But anyway, go ahead.
But to kind of piggyback off that, that's one reason why I went there, because we did I know it was injuries, but we did kind of expect it through camp last year. We saw the videos of the one-handed catches, and man, he fits the mold. Couz. He's big, he's strong, he's fast. I just think that West Virginia, first off, I think he's going to really benefit more so in this offense under Rich Rodriguez than he did last under Neil Brown. But number two, I think that sometimes you can go out and you can look for a lot of players, especially in a wide receiver room, and they did. And I understand it. But sometimes what you need is right there in front of you. I would probably say the same thing for Rodney Gallagher, but I went Jaden Bray. I just think, Couz, that he's talented enough, he's strong enough, he's physical enough, he's fast enough, that if he can stay healthy, I think he can really, really do well in this offense. And I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see him play and see what he can do. I think he's somebody that kind of, because West Virginia has added so many people to that wide receiver room, and because last year he got hurt, I think he does fly under the radar, and I think he can have a lot of success.
Yeah, I think he'll be hungry too.
Sure.
Because of the injury. He dealt with injuries a lot at Oklahoma State as well. And he's going to be hungry to prove himself, and he wants to play at the next level, I'm sure. So
just got to stay healthy.
Yep, exactly. I like that pick though. It's a good one. That would have been my pick too, probably, had I went offense.
Yeah.
All right. Third question. How long of a leash does Nico have? Let's say WVU finishes September 5-0. Would a poor performance against BYU give him the hook?
No. I think if West Virginia is 5-0, I don't think one game does it.
I agree.
I don't know. Not 5-0. I don't see one game. I have to be honest, because if West Virginia is 5-0 and Nico does indeed start and is a starting quarterback in those games, I'm not sure there is a performance he could have that would trump a 5-0 start.
Well, if he's 5-0, that means he will be 9-0 in his career as a starter.
Yep.
By gosh, I'm leaving him out there.
Because
what's the number one goal?
Yeah, it's win football games.
Win. We saw Skylar Howard took a lot of crap off the fan base because he wasn't a prototypical quarterback.
Yeah.
But the guy won football games.
Yeah.
I see Nico's a better thrower than Skylar was. He has more arm talent, in my opinion, but I see him as he could potentially fall into that same mold, right? If he doesn't get his numbers up, but he keeps winning. But people are not going to give Nico as much crap. But you get my point. If you're winning football games, you're staying in. If I'm the coach, in my opinion.
Yeah. We saw that last year, Couz, at Cincinnati.
Yep.
I mean, he was off of a game in Arizona where he looked good, and we've talked about that before. That might have been one of the best football performances out of a quarterback I've seen. He was really good.
Yeah, he was. It was on the money.
Cincinnati, not so much. And yes, you could make an argument that defense won the football game for West Virginia.
They did. One of the few times that happened in the last 6 years, but yeah.
But again, the object here is to win football games. I just don't, and that's my point. Is I don't. If he's 5-0 going to BYU, I don't know that there is enough of a bad performance that would trump the 5-0 start. Now, if he follows up the next game with a shaky outcome, now we're talking. But just one game, I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing too, how long of a leash he has is going to depend on how good the quarterback is behind him.
Yeah.
Now, I read that question assuming that the person asking it is making the assumption that Jalen Henderson wouldn't be far behind Nico in that case, that they would be pretty close. If that's the case, I still don't think you pull him after one game, but you definitely are going to give him, if you have somebody behind him that you are equally confident in winning games, you're going to pull him quicker. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. So I think, a lot of that too is going to depend on how well they think Jalen Henderson.
Yeah.
Or Max Brown. I mean, we assume it's going to be Jalen Henderson, but we don't know that 100% certainty. But
now I think there's always caveats to that. I mean, what if West Virginia's 5-0, I guess, and they go to BYU and just have a terrible performance, and then Henderson or somebody comes in the game and just kind of just captures the moment, But I still think you ride the hand that led you to 5-0 start.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask this one. I'll go ahead and answer this one first. I'll let you off the hook this time. It says, if Nico struggles against Pitt, I sense a theme here. Everybody's assuming Nico's the starter already, which I find ironic.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
I'm not going to assume that yet. Don't count Jalen Henderson out, man. Anyway, if Nico struggles against Pitt, would Rich Rod pull him because he wants to beat Pitt more than anything? Here's my answer. Regardless who the quarterback is, whether it's Nico, Jalen, or whoever, if they're struggling against Pitt and he feels like making a quarterback change will win the game, then I think he'll make a quarterback change. That's my answer. Simple. What do you think?
I agree with you, and I would say the same thing about any position.
Yep.
I think it is literally all options on the table to beat Pitt, no matter what position you're at. And so, I guess in this question, I'm relatively short and simple. I agree with you. I think all options are on the table at every position in order to win that football game. I do think it means a little bit more to him, as it does to all of us, right?
Yep.
But especially that's in the back of Rich Rod's mind. It is.
He's already brought it up multiple times in interviews, a few times unprompted, I believe.
Yeah,
if I recall.
And if you don't think somewhere inside that office there's a big old circle around the game, and I think he knows it. And I think all options at all positions are on the table if somebody's not performing in order to win, not just every game, but specifically because the question pertained to that game.
Agreed. And we got to keep in mind too, we're only going to be 3 games into the season at that point. So if you got a quarterback that's struggling, you want to try to get that position right sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But I think because it's that game, he might have a quicker trigger on pulling somebody than he would another game. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think so. I agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think kind of where you started the question or before you really got to the answer, though, the bigger part of this is I think there's a large majority that are under that assumption that it's going to be Nico. And so it's a good question, but that it would obviously be the assumption. I guess you could flip that, right? What if Nico doesn't get the job? How quickly does Henderson get the leash? So
Yeah, I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. And I think that's our point, right? Because
Yep.
I don't think it matters one way or the other. Insert whichever name you want. I don't think it matters.
Yep. That was our last question. I do want to remind everybody, top right corner of your screen, you see the @GB breakdown _ that account. And I forgot to change the graphic, but it is now actually @WV Sports Chat. So I will change it before the next show. @WV Sports Chat on X. Please give us a follow over there. Interact with us. You can also follow us individually at Jonathan K. Martin. It's Jonathan with no H in the front for those listening. And I'm at Couz 206, COUZ 206. Check us out on X. Again, you can also find West Virginia Sports Chat on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Jonathan, or no?
I don't have TikTok. Don't do TikTok. Not yet.
Maybe I can start the TikTok account. But anyway, we'll get there. But you get the point. We're everywhere with WV Sports Chat. Also, the website, WVSportsChat.com. We're going to grow that sucker. Let's get that sucker out. Let's make it one of the biggest West Virginia's.
Yep.
Look, we're not trying to compete with the rivals in the 24/7s. We want to be different. We want to be fun. And we want to bring you good quality content that you will enjoy from a fan perspective, but also from a objective, analytical perspective. That's our goal. We want to be fans, but we are proof that you can be a fan, still be objective. That's our goal here. And hopefully you'll come along with us for the ride. Jonathan, anything else you want to say?
No, it's good questions tonight. It's always good to be back with you on the show. It's something that I've really enjoyed doing. And just to kind of piggyback off of that, yeah, we're really excited about how this is going to take off on the site, and appreciate everybody who's already come over and started. Again, we're just trying to give you an option. And, I think you and I have a lot of good plans and vision for the future, and just excited to get this thing off the ground and get it running.
Yep, absolutely. And I also want to give a shout out to Shauna Rose. She also writes a lot of pieces over there for us. And RJ Rice is part of the team as well. Anyway, hopefully we'll add may add some folks soon, maybe not. I don't know yet. Again, some of it is still a work in progress, but we hope you guys join us for the ride. It's going to be fun. We appreciate you tuning into the show. If you're watching this, please please subscribe. And drop a comment also. If you're listening to this on audio only platform, please be sure to follow the Couz's Corner podcast. Please be sure to drop a 5-star review if you don't mind. It'll really help us grow this thing. And just thanks again for tuning in, and hope the rest of your day or night is top shelf. Q Country Roads.